All right. Hello and welcome to today's webinar on how to supercharge your social media and start turning those fans and followers into actual website visitors, leads, and sales. I'm Mike Galton, the brand evangelist from Agorapulse, and I am joined today by Kevin Ho, the VP of Marketing with our partner on this webinar, Wishpond. Kevin will be talking shortly about contests and email marketing. Hello, Kevin.
Hey, Mike, thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. I am also pleased to introduce the amazing Kelly Mirabella from Stellar Media Marketing. I had the privilege of hearing Kelly speak just last week on Social Media Week Lima. Now you folks are going to get a taste of her chatbot expertise today. Hello, Kelly.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Love my peeps. So hi.
Kelly may be doing a little bit of moonwalking later, so stay tuned for that. Finally, let me introduce my dear friend, Rebecca Radice. She's an acclaimed speaker, author, and entrepreneur who I have known for years, and I admire a great deal. Hello, Rebecca.
Hello. I don't know if I can follow up Kelly after that.
I've only had one cup of coffee.
And end of webinar. No, let's get started. So those of you watching, welcome. Take a moment right now to put down your phones, turn off those notifications, and crack open a notepad. This is going to be a jam-packed session covering everything from social media to content to email, and it's going to go by fast. Don't miss out. While you're listening to each speaker, please feel free to leave comments and questions in the chat, and I'll make sure that they're addressed. And Kevin, Kelly, and Rebecca, I'm going to do a bit of a round robin amongst us for each of the main topics we want to hit, but do feel free to chime in if you have something to add. And Rebecca, I'd like to start with you and sort of start at the top of the funnel, so to speak, right? So we all have social profiles and we've all created content for social media, but there's a huge distinction between what most businesses do and what you do. What are some tips and best practices that you can share with us to help businesses create better and more engaging social posts?
That is the big question, isn't it? And it really is something that we need to understand, not only from an audience level. So who is our audience? Who are we speaking with? But also a platform level. So where are we sharing that content? Where are we creating that conversation? Is it on Facebook? Is it Instagram? Are we creating video content over on YouTube? So when you can marry those two and really create the right content for the right platform, you begin to really build that engagement because you are speaking to those people in the language that they understand, and you're also really tapping into the tools within that particular platform. So if we take a look at just from the top, understanding your audience and what kind of content they're looking for. So really taking your time to listen, understand what their needs are. What is it that they are actively telling you? They're raising their hand saying, hey, this is what I want to learn. This is what I want to know. This is what I'm seeking to find out from you. And then being able to share that content in the right way. And what I mean by that is knowing, what kind of content are they actually interacting with at this moment? Is it heavily image-based? Is it text-based? Is it video content? Do they want to see you face-to-face? Do they want to hear your voice? More than likely, the answer is yes. And so it's figuring out then how to find that perfect mix of content. And I follow what I call the value ladder. And it's really taking each piece within this and figuring out what that kind of content looks like for you. So value is valuable content. So it's helpful, it's educational, it's teaching, it's learning. It's also aspirational. So how can you make what you do very tangible to those people that are connecting with you? So making it attainable, but also sharing your vision in a way that allows them to understand how you got to where you are, how you do what you do within your business every single day. And then the L is life cycle. So, Mike, you talked a little bit about that funnel. And within this, it's really building that awareness around your business, around your brand. Maybe it's a feature within your product. It's nurturing those relationships in a very authentic and natural way. And then the U within that value is unique. So it's proprietary, it's branded, it's something that you've created. Maybe it's something you're using within your own business. And then E is that evergreen content. So if you're a blogger, that's your blog content. If you're a YouTuber, that is your video content, whatever the case might be. It's keeping that content in that mix so that you're never overly promotional, you're never spamming your feed, but you're meeting your audience exactly where they're at with that mix of content. And the way I kind of follow this is making that I am mixing it up every single day, every single week, so that there's a rhythm to my content as well, so that I'm not getting stuck in a rut. I'm not sharing the same thing over and over and over again, but I'm also not having to reinvent the wheel. And I think that's a big part of posting too, is too often we think, oh, I can't share that again because I've already shared it. Or, oh my goodness, I can't talk about that again because I'm going to, sound like a broken record. When in reality, you need to be talking about those things you're passionate about, talking about those things that are very specific to your business, and sharing over and over and over again who you help, how you help, and exactly how people can work with you or buy from you. You think about how quickly we move from one platform to the next, or maybe from one moment to the next on social media, and you have such a short amount of time to capture somebody's attention. And so think about that as you're sharing that mix of content, how often, dependent on the platform, you might need to talk about those same things over and over again, because you're capturing a different segment of your audience and making sure that they're hearing you, that they're connecting with you, and that your message is truly getting across. So, I think it's a little bit of all of that. It's understanding that audience. It's knowing that platform, knowing that type of content that you're going to share, and then finally really understanding what are those tools that are going to help you plug all of this in to a system so that you don't feel overwhelmed. You don't feel like you're juggling a whole lot of things, or you don't feel like you have to be on social media at every single moment, because that's definitely another challenge where, we feel as if we've got to be in it all the time. And to advantage to being able to create that consistent presence, be everywhere that we need to be, but be very strategic in it, because we're planning ahead. We're planning out that content. We're scheduling out that content. And then that frees us up to come in and engage, to have those conversations with people, so that, again, we're not feeling as if we're trying to manage it. We're trying to hang on to all of those moving pieces, but we're really allowing those tools, those systems we're putting into place, those strategies to work for us instead of against us. And what that ultimately allows us to do is be far more strategic too in the type of content that we're creating, that we are putting out there. So it's not haphazard, it's not last minute, it's not, oh my gosh, I just rolled out of bed, I got to post to Instagram, what in the world am I going to share? But it's very thought through in terms of what is valuable to your audience. What is that long-term strategy that connects directly with your product, your service? Maybe you're a business coach, and you have a very, very specific target or niche, and you want to make sure that you're sharing that same content with them over and over and over again. So, there's so many different ways you can come at posting and creating those perfect social media posts. But I have found, Mike, and I think we know each other long enough that you are very much the same way, that when you can find that rhythm and kind of work that process, your audience is going to tell you exactly what you need to know. They're going to tell you what they're looking for. They're going to tell you what they want more of, which then in turn really informs your entire strategy.
Oh, absolutely. Now, when you're talking about creating all this content and posting on all these different social networks, how important is it to engage with the people that are seeing those posts and leaving comments?
Yeah, just as important, if not more important, is that engagement. And I think that's where tools really come in as well, where they free us up from a lot of those daily tasks where we don't necessarily have to post organically every single, piece of content, but that can free us up to come in and to listen to what people are saying, pay attention to that feedback and make sure that we're getting back with people. And I don't mean that you need to be hopping in and reading through every single comment in Instagram, every single moment of the day. I choose to pick times within the morning and then later in the day, usually my evening time, to go back and kind of filter through everything. I find that I give myself the space to be a lot more thoughtful in my responses. I just have a little bit more time to really review those, to give that feedback that people are looking for, maybe be that resource that they're needing. So it's incredibly important that we are going deep with our audience. If you're wanting to really encourage that growth, like you talked about, those traffic, that leads, those sales, well, the only way you're going to do that is to build those relationships. And relationships happen because we're building trust. And trust is happening because we're in those conversations and we're showing up on a consistent basis. So it's thinking about what time of day, if you're on the train or you're on the bus or you're driving in the cars, building those times around your schedule so that you can just build it into your calendar and know, hey, I'm going to spend 10 minutes or 15 minutes here, and I'm going to put a timer on so I don't get sucked in and I don't get pulled away from all of the other high priority things that I've got to get done within my business. So, treating it just like anything else that you put on your calendar is a really important piece to this so that you're not overlooking it. And you don't say it's Monday and now it's Friday and I haven't spent any time engaging with my audience.
Awesome. Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned relationships. I just published a big roundup yesterday, polled several dozen social media experts about what not to do on social media. And over again, this theme of how important relationships are and how critical it is to nurture those one-to-one relationships, even if it's a brand, even if you're acting as that brand, to try and create those human connections with people on social media. So I love that you mentioned that. Kelly, Kevin, did you have anything that you want to add to that?
I would definitely agree with the fact that you need to be focused on, what your best content pieces are and where, I'm really a big fan of focusing. I've been doing social media marketing for 12 years. And in the past, I'd say year and a half, I've had more success with my content and people getting involved in my brand than ever before. And it really is because I chose to really focus on my niche. And like Rebecca was saying, don't be afraid to repeat yourself, because I talk about chatbots. That's it. That's all I talk about. I have a ton of other experience, but literally the only thing that I talk about is messenger marketing. And I had a good friend who said to me, I had to mute you because you are out of control. There's always something going out. And I'm like, it's not that there's always something going out. It's that I'm so laser focused that I can create one piece of content and I can spread it using Agorapulse and really focusing in on my the networks that work for me. I'm not that active on LinkedIn. I'm not that active on, Twitter, but I'm really active on Facebook and in my group and on YouTube. And so because of that, the audience that I've discovered has really adapted to that and been drawn closer than ever before because there's that focus there. And then again, like what Rebecca was saying is, if you got a problem, I'll solve it. Thinking about the problem they have and solve those problems with your content.
Well, and you just perfectly made the point about why your growth has happened in the last year and a half, because you have so well branded yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point about your friend that said I had to mute you, fantastic.
Yeah, I was excited to hear it because
Awesome.
she's in our industry, so it didn't bother me at all. But she's like, "You are out, like you're everywhere." I'm like, "Yes, that's what I want."
Well, exactly. And so what that says is the right people, the exact right people that need you, that want to hear what you're talking about, are going to self-select into all of that content, whereas you're immediately pushing out those others. And I just love that because I think it illustrates so well what we're talking about here, which is just going super deep, super laser focused, on who those people are.
And it gives you, the content creator, kind of like a breath of fresh air. Like, it's nice to not have to be everything to everyone. Yeah. It's nice to just really have the expertise of this thing and then go all in. It's just, it's actually easier, I find, than to be the expert of everything.
I was going to say the same exact thing. And just thinking about what you said about chatbots and creating one piece of content that you could do, a million different things with. Don't you find as a content creator that the more laser focused you get, the easier content creation becomes?
Oh, yes. It's easier. And the content, I think, is better. I mean, look at Mike. Yes. You're like the king of blogging, right? And because that's your thing, you're so laser focused on creating it, so you can like jam out some, not just mediocre blogs, but like amazing blogs, because that's your thing. You're really niche. I can jam out a YouTube video on chatbots because that's my focus, and it's super easy once at first you got to get into the rhythm, right? You got to like practice makes not perfect. Practice makes progress, but it's important that when you do niche down, the content gets easier for you to produce better content.
Absolutely. So we're going to transition a little bit. That was fantastic. And now that we've got a taste of what it might take to create better, more engaging social media posts, what do we actually do with those posts, right? I want to share for a moment some ideas on how we can actually leverage all this social content that we're creating and spin them into additional content to drive sales. And I actually have three suggestions for those of you listening. The first is to reshare and repurpose those top performing posts. And Rebecca, you almost took my thunder a little bit there, right? You talked about how important it is, but no, that's okay, because there's other ways that you can do this. So if you're sharing content to Twitter or Facebook and so on, pay attention to how those individual posts perform, right? We want to watch to see, are we getting a lot of engagement? Are we getting a lot of traffic to a site, to our landing pages and so on, if there's links? And if those posts are being successful and engaging our audience, reuse them in some way. Either share them again to that same network later on, or share them to other social networks. Take a version of that content, a version of the image, a version of the text that you said, and use it on the network and see how it performs there. Now, every audience is a little bit different. Every network's a little bit different, so the performance is going to vary. But if you know a topic is resonating with your audience on, say, Facebook, it's probably going to resonate with your audience in a similar fashion on Twitter. So bear that in mind and keep looking at that, because we don't have to continue to create posts from scratch over and over again, just like you said, Rebecca. The other thing that we can do, and I've seen all of you do this in a number of different ways, and it works extremely well, is take those social posts and actually embed them on other pieces of content, like blog posts, articles, websites, and so on. You can take tweets, you can embed pins from Pinterest, you can embed Facebook posts, and one of my favorite things to do is to embed video. And Kelly, you talked about this a little bit. You touched on this, how good you are at YouTube, right? So you're creating all this video content on YouTube, and I know you're actually also going live on Facebook. You can take those posts, I'm sure most of you have seen this before, and embed that into your written content. Now, the written content can actually be a written form of your video, or it can be 100% unique. whatever makes sense for you, whatever kinds of content you've created in the past, you can leverage that and cross promote that. One of my favorite techniques is to actually do a Facebook Live about a topic. Now, either you already had the blog post and you're doing the Facebook Live about it, or you're doing it in reverse, right? Where you're creating the video content via Facebook Live first, and then you're going to turn that into a blog post. But either way, you end up with a written piece of content and you embed the Facebook Live video, once it's been recorded, into the blog post. And the reason why I like that even more than YouTube is because if you come to my blog post and you see the Facebook Live video and you start to watch it, and then you engage with that post, you like, you comment on it, you share something along those lines, you send a signal to the Facebook algorithm that that post has now been engaged with. And that will tell Facebook to show that video to your audience. Not all of them, obviously, but you've all seen it, right? Where you're scrolling through the Facebook feed and you see that so-and-so liked a video or so-and-so commented on a video. You're seeing that in your feed because Facebook saw that engagement and they're showing you now that piece of content. And that happens even if that video is 6 to 12 months or more old. Now, that doesn't happen on YouTube video, right? All we get by embedding a YouTube video in our content is, another tick up on the like counter. That's okay if that's where you're putting that content. You're not really leveraging Facebook as a platform, but I would consider, if you want to, including Facebook in that video mix for those reasons. And if you're doing pre-recorded video, that works fine too. You can launch it as a premiere and you still get the benefits of a live video. And then once it's done, now you've got that recorded video that you can embed. And the last thing that I want to really hone in on is this idea that we're using social media to engage with people. We're using social media to further relationships, everything we've been talking about so far. And as a direct result of that, that means we're having conversations. That means we're probably answering some questions. And I do this all the time. Somebody will ask me a question in a group, on a Facebook post, something like that, and I'll answer it. And I've trained myself in the back of my mind to begin to think, oh, if I spend more than a moment answering this question, if I go more than a couple sentences answering somebody's query in a Facebook group, that's probably good blog content. There's probably other people that want to know the answer to this question that I'm already providing. So I'll finish it. I'll write out an answer, and I'm kind of known for typing quite a bit. So some of my answers get a little lengthy, even in social media. And then I'll copy and paste into Evernote, and I will spin that into blog content. And I do this all the time, and it works every time, because if one person has that question, if one person wants to know the answer to something that's bugging them, there are hundreds of other people who want to know that same answer, who want help with that same problem. And so I'm repurposing my time spent. I'm creating a great connection on social media on a one-to-one basis by helping that individual. And most of the time it's in kind of a public forum, like I said, like a Facebook group, so other people see it, other people can chime in and get the help that they want. But then I put it on my blog, and I'm able to repurpose that and reuse that for months and months and months. I'm often linking to that, because that, if it was a really good question, that'll come up again on social. But now I don't have to retype my answer. I can just link to the blog post. So that's 3 ways that I use and repurpose social posts. I don't know if anybody else wants to chime in on any other ideas that they might have.
I think I think we unknowingly turned this into kind of a productivity conversation. Yeah. How can we get more done with the time we have?
Yeah.
No, I love that, Mike, though. I mean, so especially for us on the content side, especially we're writing, we're finding out what blog posts we want to create. We look at things like Ahrefs and these SEO tools, but that's just variations of keywords. That's not telling us what people actually want to know, right? So I love how you're diving into these groups and figuring out what people are actually have questions about, and then creating content based off that. I feel like the content would be much more compelling that way. I think that's a great idea.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I work with BuzzSumo a lot because they have a tool where they're helping to surface these questions. So yeah, those 2 things in tandem are amazing for content creation. Answer the questions that you can see, right? Use your expertise and then repurpose that content. And then when that's not happening organically, go look for questions to answer.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what I do. That's actually how I build out my video, like shoot list, how I'm going to be batching my videos, is I spend a lot of time in Facebook groups. And if that question comes up a couple times, like, oh, that's a video right there. Or I'm sure like you're thinking that's a blog right there. Right. So based off what your content thing is, I think it's great that you said, you do that thing with the comment, because I didn't think of doing that until you saw one of my comments. And you're like, Kelly, go turn that into a blog. It ended up being a popular blog topic. So it was pretty cool.
That's right. I remember that. That's awesome. Cool. So now, Kevin, I'd like for you to talk a little bit about what you guys do, because I want to know more about how we can leverage Wishpond, and specifically how we can use contests to attract and engage larger audiences.
Yeah, definitely. So if you guys don't know too much about Wishpond, basically what Wishpond does is we help people turn social media subscribers into followers, build an audience, and then leverage that audience to drive sales. There's a couple different steps in that process though. So the first being, how do we actually incentivize people to actually move off social or to engage with us on social, and then leverage that to create an opportunity to, come into our database, to become an email subscriber, to learn from our brand long term. In terms of the contests that we run, and we're a big contest provider, and we've ran hundreds of thousands of contests over the past 10 years. The reason that contests work, opposed to, you can put like an ebook out there, or you can have some downloadable PDF. Contests are a lot of value out the gate, right? So Rebecca, you talked about this a lot. How do we provide value for our users? They see something, it's of value to them, right? This is a big theme that's underlying across all marketing, right? And what contests do is that, say for instance, someone in your audience or someone who's just seeing you for the first time says, I have a chance to win this prize pack, right? Or there's a video contest, I upload a photo of myself, I can win, some marketing training, or I can win, a trip somewhere, or I can win, a prize pack from a company's, apparel brand. Well, what that's allowing us to do is to put something front and center in front of them that's of value, that's really going to be motivating them to say, oh, okay, I might have never heard of this company before, but I'd be willing to give them my name, my email, right, some other piece of information. And once that happens, what some of these tools like Wishpond can do is that once we collect your email, we can then say on a different step, on the next step, we can say, we just got your email. You basically got one entry. Now, if you want an additional entry, why don't you, right, visit our Facebook page, visit this blog post, check out our YouTube videos, right? Follow us on Instagram. So we're able to kind of incentivize different steps of the funnel in order to create not only just engagement on the front end, but also collect an email address on the back end, right? And once we've collected that information, now we're able to start a series of events, sending emails, we can follow up with them, we can do retargeting lists. So there's a number of things we can do on the back end once we own that list, essentially from that database. I would say in terms of the key differences between some contests that you may have seen online or things you may have run. So, a lot of people run these campaigns where they, like this post for a chance to win, or they'll say, tag a friend for a chance to win. I think those are all great. They're really great ways, especially if you guys want to incentivize engagement on social. They're really great things to do, and you'll see engagement metrics do go up based on that. The one thing that I would encourage you though, if you are running a contest, especially as social media engagement and organic reach is kind of this unknown factor. So if some of you guys aren't familiar with organic reach, basically, on Facebook, for instance, if I have 100 people who like me and I'm a Facebook business page, I can't always control when I post something how many people will see that, right? Facebook controls how many people get access to that. And, that might be 2, 3, 4, 5%, depending on your industry. But again, that's not the full 100. And doing things like Rebecca was mentioning, and doing things like Michael was mentioning in terms of creating engaging content, that stuff will help increase that organic reach, but we're still never going to get to 100%. So one of the things that we would always encourage is having a dual strategy where we do social media engagement, where we're creating a brand there, we're creating an audience that's aware of us, that starts to know who we are and trust us. But again, start to leverage that audience to create basically a subscriber base offline, or basically for your email account, right? And from there, you own that list. You're able to follow up indefinitely, create content around that, and that's really kind of the fundamental, I guess, tenets of what Wishpond does. Mike, do you have any other questions about that, or yeah?
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of different contests and prize packages, like you mentioned. What kind of tips or guidelines might you give folks when they're kind of determining, okay, I'm a business, I want to create a prize package. Should I give away an iPad, or how should I go about thinking about, what would be a good prize package?
Yeah, great question. So, I mean, a couple of years ago, you might have seen everyone was running these contests, and it seemed like everyone and their mother was giving away an iPad. Win an iPad. You come to the dentist, win an iPad, right? Come to this clothing store, win an iPad. We would always recommend giving away something that's relevant to your audience, right? That's step number one. Because again, if you're giving away iPads, say we get 200 people who enter, and then I follow up and say, who wants my, bamboo sweatshirts? They go, well, we all want iPads, right? We don't want them. So really, the first thing you want to do is that think about your prize as really the thing that's attracting, the magnet that's attracting people in, right? And whatever's attracting them in, you're going to be able to follow up with them in a more efficient way if that prize is highly related to your products and services. So for instance, I would always recommend doing a bundle of your products if you're an apparel brand. Maybe do like a bundle of shirts and shoes or whatever you might have. Gift cards always work well. We found that the typical price point range that works the best between $300 to $600, right? So just keeping in that range is kind of a mental exercise. Again, that's kind of a general rule of thumb if you want to run like a simple sweepstakes. But the prize value and what you're giving away should to some degree always correlate to what you're asking from people, right? So what I mean by that is that, say for instance, you want to run a contest and get video reviews. You say, everybody, I want you to, maybe make a 10-minute video and tell us why you love our resort, right? Oh, I love this resort. We had the best time of our lives, and upload it to Facebook. Well, you need to understand that that's a big ask, right? I need to pick up my phone. I need to record a video. I need to upload it. So maybe potentially winning a $100 gift card or a $20 gift card is not going to do it for me, right? Maybe the prize value has to expand to match what I'm asking from you. Versus if, for instance, I just want your name and your email, maybe a $50 gift card is fine, right? So just remember that depending on what you're asking for, basically an email would be the lowest barrier. If you want a photo, it's a little bit more difficult. If you want testimonial, if you want a review, just keep in mind the price should always be correlated with essentially what you're asking from users.
Well, and it seems this goes back to understanding your audience too, in terms of that ask, because Kelly, I'm thinking of you and your heavy use of video. Your audience might be very comfortable in making a video for you, but not so comfortable writing a blog post or writing a testimonial. So I think it's important too, that not only are you understanding the value associated with that ask, but the comfort level associated with that ask based on your audience.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Now, Sean, who's watching, asks, he says, I've heard there is an issue with running contests in that you often just get people that just enter contests with little intention of turning into customers. Thoughts on increasing actual valuable email contacts that move down the funnel and turn into conversions?
Yeah, great question, Sean. So I think this would be the case if I was giving away a $500 Apple, or a $2,000, Apple computer. Yes, you're going to get everyone under the sun who's entering. But for instance, if Agorapulse, right, you want to run a contest and you're giving away, equivalent of $2,000 of social media scheduling training, and it's very specific, it's your product, it's in a specific niche. Or Kelly, for instance, if you're giving away chatbot training, chances are people who are entering are interested in chatbots, right? You might get people who just like to enter things for the heck of it, but chances are you're going to get people, if you're hyper specific with the prize, you're going to get a hyper specific audience.
Awesome. And that is a fantastic segue, because I mentioned that I was at Social Media Week Lima last week, and that's Ohio, not Lima, Peru. And my friend Kelly here taught us a thing or two about how to approach chatbots. Kelly, would you share with us how businesses, once they're creating all this great social content, they're starting to grow audiences, how do they use chatbots and automation to actually scale that audience engagement?
Yeah. So the cool thing about messenger marketing that I think people are just not seeing just yet, but I definitely see, because this is like my live and breathe messenger marketing, is that instead of like email being one-to-many, and even social media a lot of times can be one-to-many until you get into those comments, which is really one-to-one, which is really where we want to move people, right, to this one-to-one feeling. You can use messenger marketing as a one-to-one, but as a business, as a marketer, you pre-build out these flows, these messages, and like a tree. What do they call those? Like logic trees, like a choose your own adventure. So for you, it's easier, but for the end user, the person on the other end of the computer, it feels like, oh, this is for me. It's personalized for me. It's based off of how I interact with this bot. So it really scales kind of this personalized attention, and it makes people feel more included in the conversation. And, when you're talking about even like contests and stuff, the thing I was thinking about, because I actually teach how to use messenger marketing for building out gamification, games and contests. And that's really where I started with messenger marketing. And the thing about gamification is there's a psychology to it, where more people are going to be engaged with your brand, and it just turns a switch on, which helps people complete tasks better. And actually, a lot of businesses are starting to look at gamification in terms of developing their teams. So you can use these elements of like gamification and contests with messenger marketing, but it brings it to a whole new level because it personalizes that experience. It makes me feel like, oh, you're talking to me. And when you can make a fan feel special, when you can make a subscriber feel special, then that's when you take subscribers and you turn them into fans. And fans are the ones who are going faster through the funnel. They're the ones who are sharing out your content and commenting on your posts and joining your Facebook group and watching your videos. So I'm really obviously a huge fan of messenger marketing, but what I find is that people are so focused on it being the next email that they're missing the point. It's not the next email. It's the next communication tool. Yes. I mean, when I send out a messenger broadcast, or even when I'm building out messenger marketing campaigns, I think about one person. I think about like my best friend or my best customer. And I'm thinking about that one person when I write out messages, because when I'm sending messages to my girlfriends in the DM, you know, I'm not thinking about like, how am I going to sell this to everyone? I'm coming at them. Like if I have something to sell, you know, I'm coming at them like, hey, did you see this new cool thing? I'm wondering how this is going to work out. I think about my girls, you know, we're in this group chat together. We're called the Queenies. There's like 8 of us. And we're all suggesting like, you know, have you seen this Facebook ad about the what do you call the body contorting things that women wear? And all the girls like, oh my gosh, I want to buy one. It's so you can take conversation and you can convert people too. So messenger marketing allows you to create conversation. Excuse me, hold on. Going on here. And unlike email, which doesn't feel like you're conversing with someone, because the end user it's not as easy for me to like, you know, feel like I'm having that conversation, which in messenger marketing, it does feel that way. So we can convert with messenger marketing. We could do contests with messenger marketing. We could solve problems with messenger marketing. We can increase engagement on our content within Facebook, without Facebook, with messenger marketing. And it all comes down to personalizing the experience. You're taking subscribers and you're turning them into fans. But you also have to really, really be cautious of the fact that we do not want to spam people. We do not want to annoy people, because once you've done that, end of story. You're done. You might as well go home. No one's going down your funnel. No one's buying your product. So my goal in my business is I want to hit you with so much value, you don't even know what I'm selling to you, because it's a conversation at that point. You're jumping at it. You're like, oh, heck yeah, I'm buying that because I already know what Kelly brings when it's free. I actually have a Facebook group, Baby Got Bought. And I have people in that group who will post like, Kelly, do you even sell anything? I'm like, girl, I just sold you like 2 courses last week. So I'm really a fan of messenger marketing, and not just in messenger, but outside, like in the social world of, like Rebecca said, bringing value and bringing that great content, but also just trying to personalize those experiences as much as possible, so that when it does come time to convert, it is conversation to conversions, not let me just sell at you. Let's collaborate on this buying experience, because nobody wants to be sold to. But honey, we all like to buy things. You go look at my front porch and I got boxes right now of Amazon piling up while I'm in here talking to y'all. So I love buying things. I hate being sold to, and I know I'm not alone in that. So messenger marketing really allows us to create those conversations, to build that trust, because if you can make it feel like you're talking to a friend, then when I come and say, hey, did you see this new thing I've got? I think you might enjoy this. I think this could solve your problems. There's a trust factor there. And it's even a deeper level trust factor, because we're not just blasting messages, we're conversating. And I think that's the big difference between messenger marketing and email marketing. Whereas I do think there's still a place for email marketing, messenger marketing is so powerful. Your open rates are higher, your click-through rates are higher, your action rates are higher, but also your adaption from cold lead to best friend is higher. And that's really what we're looking for, is that human to human interaction. It's no longer about business to business. We're not B2C, B2B, B2B, B2B. It's H to H, human to human. And messenger marketing can absolutely help you with that. Okay.
I love, yeah. Good job. Nice. Take a breath. So I love that you drew that comparison between messenger marketing, email marketing a couple of times, because you're right. A lot of people are out there hyping
Yes.
messenger marketing as the replacement for email marketing, and that's going to get folks in trouble. But I want you to think about a specific example of messenger marketing and flows, and I'll give you a second to think about that, because I know that most of the people watching this, and kind of myself included, probably have never built a chatbot.
Yeah.
And most of us probably have not seen good examples, if any. Most people's implementations of chatbots today, quite frankly, are not good. So show us, paint a picture for us of what a really creative, good, fun, and I know you've got some, so I'll let you go.
So I am my girl, Amanda Robinson. I know you know Amanda. She's part of the 360 crew. She actually just, she has a Facebook ads course that she does live, and she did the admin work for this thing inside of her bot. And it was a really clean, simple solution that solved a lot of headaches for her and made the registration process super duper easy for the end user. And all it was is you come into the bot, she asks for your email address, and Facebook automatically will populate that. All they have to do is click on it or tap on it, or they could type an alternate. And then immediately she's sending them a, hey, you're registered. Cool. Go you. Here's the links. But on the back end, it's immediately taking that information and adding it to a Google Sheet for her CRM so she can follow up with people. So it makes this really streamlined. It's a very simple flow. It's a very simple messenger bot, but it solves the problem for her of having the headaches of like, I got to export all this and put it over here. It's automatic. It's automated. But for the end user, it's so frictionless to buy things or to sign up. And anyone who's ever had an e-course or a product or anything, the more hoops you make people jump through, the more forms you make them, go to, the more websites you're sending them to, you create these points of friction. And for every point of friction, they are less likely to buy. A messenger bot like Amanda's, you go in, you click a button, you confirm, she sends you the stuff you need. There's probably an email that's automated that sends it to you as well. And boom, boom, bam, you're done. You're like, whoa, how did that happen so fast? I'm done. And it just really creates this very streamlined experience. Now, another example is my best friend, my boy, Gary Vee. I feel like he's my best friend because I'm interacting with him in Messenger, and he's all, what's up, Kelly? Now, Gary Vee has this little show, this little ditty called Ask Gary Vee. And in Ask Gary Vee, I mean, if you've ever heard of it, he does this, I think it's called a vlog. That's when it's a video blog, right? So he does this vlog where he answers questions for entrepreneurs, and he does this on a weekly basis. Well, his messenger bot actually also takes the most popular questions that he's getting, and it lists them, and you can click on a button very easily and say, I want to ask this question. What's the answer? And it pops up with him saying, here's your answer. And it's just clean and streamlined, and I get what I need, and I get access to someone that I admire. And I can also find out where he's, going to be speaking next. So there's so many use cases. And the cool thing about messenger marketing is it's only restricted by your imagination. I'll give you one more example because you got me all excited. I'm actually running a contest right now. You can win a ticket to ManyChat's Conversations Conference. So if you're interested in learning about messenger bots from all the best of the best, they have this conference in Austin, Texas in September. And I have 3 VIP tickets. Right now I'm giving one away. So you would go to my Facebook page, and there's a post, and all you have to do is comment on the post, and immediately my messenger bot pushes over a message saying, hey, boom, you interested? Great. Confirm your email, click, done. And I'll be announcing the winner at the end of July. And that's all it is. And then at that point, I can also follow up with them and say, hey, by the way, would you like to have more chances to win? I'm going to give away 2 more tickets in my Facebook group. Just click here and enter my Facebook group. So you can, tag people along the way, segment them, continue to personalize those messages. But these are really easy solutions that makes it frictionless for the end user. And I think people just overcomplicate it. I hear a lot of, especially larger businesses will go in and say, let's take all our FAQs, come on FAQs, and let's put them in here and try to automate this process. And what a lot of mistakes are happening is people think chatbot, they think messenger bot, they immediately think artificial intelligence. These are not one and the same. You can implement artificial intelligence into your messenger bots. Most people can't afford that technology, or the technology that's affordable is not that smart. So I think simplifying it, doing things like Amanda, where you're just making it really easy to register for things and she can grab that admin stuff, doing things like Gary Vee, where you have just a select few of pre-listed common questions. People click on them, there's the resource, or things like myself, where I'm sending out, you can immediately sign up for a contest and it's like, boom. Not to mention I'm grabbing your email so I can follow up with you. I can ask you if you are interested in, going into my Facebook group. I'm tagging you. I have a weekly newsletter. It's a messenger newsletter. It's very different than what you would see in a regular newsletter that goes in email, because it's conversational, where I share, my latest video, my latest trainings, news of the industry for messenger bots. And I always will ask, hey, do you want to be a part of this? I tag them. I could send it to those people. So there's so many use cases. And I think the best thing to do is, number one, get started. It sounds complicated. People are really stressed out. They're like, I have my friend George Demanis, right? And George, forever, I'm like, George, you need a messenger bot, because that's what I do. And he put it off. He's like, no, I don't need it. I don't need it. It's so complicated. And he watched like one of my videos, set up a messenger bot, and became addicted. And that's what I find people become addicted, because it's so fun to build these out. Y'all, I've got 2 little kids and a husband, and I'm still like, Sunday morning, go watch your cartoons. Mama's got her coffee, and I'm building messenger bots because it's fun. So, just get in there and start working with it and seeing how you can create simple first, and then figure out other solutions that you can have.
That's awesome. I love that you mentioned Amanda, because I went through that. So I went through her registration process. And then after I went through it, I turned and looked at her and I said, wait a minute, we're in this 360 marketing group together. And I've been manually putting these people into a spreadsheet for almost a year now. I'm like, girl, where have you been? Why aren't you helping with this? So yes, she's in big trouble. So thanks for calling her out.
Yeah. And I mean, there's so many use cases that make it life easier.
Yeah, exactly. And and one of the things you touched on was grabbing that email address. So before we wrap up, Kevin, I want you to share some ideas on exactly how businesses can leverage those email addresses. What do we do with that audience once we've captured?
Yeah, great question.
Email?
So I think exactly what you're doing, Kelly. For instance, you have an audience. You want to engage that audience. You want to build a list from that audience. You offered the tickets to the ManyChat conference, right? Whoever is going to enter. Obviously, everybody wants to win. There's some intention there, but not everyone can win, right? And what we typically would do, the most logical things, the sequence of events when it comes to email, if a bunch of people enter, say 500 people enter, one person wins, well, we still have 499 people who we know want to go to that conference, who want to learn about messenger bots.
Yes.
Right. So this is the best time and opportunity to send them an email that says, hey guys, thank you so much for entering. Congratulations to the winner. Insert the name there. For everyone who didn't win, here's a special offer for you, right? That might be training.
Which I plan on doing, by the way.
Okay, great. Yeah, exactly. Well, because it makes sense. You want to strike when the iron's hot, right? These people, we already know that they want to go to that conference. They have an interest in messenger bots. How do we actually move them forward in your funnel, right? And learn more about you. So that can be, the first offer can be some sort of promotion or some sort of, first time customer type offer. But again, especially when it comes to people buying online these days or people making decisions, a lot of times it would be a little bit, it might be a stretch to think that we're going to collect a bunch of emails, send one email, and then all of a sudden, wipe our hands, never open our email marketing software again. We have a bunch of customers, and that's perfect. Because at the end of the day, people are going to be doing research. People are not in the stage yet where they're ready to make a purchase. So the role that we look at email marketing is actually the journey from which how we can educate these people from a cold lead or somebody who's just become aware of you to someone who becomes an advocate that actually wants to purchase. And there's a couple of things that we can do on that. Similar to social media posts, how do we educate people on the value that our company brings, right? And that might be, to Kelly's point, they might not even know you're selling to them, right? And it's not even that you're selling to them. It's really just how to provide the most value, right? So what are some quick tips on messenger bots, for instance? For us, it would be, what are email marketing tips? What are some trends with Facebook, with organic reach? Right? What's some value that we can share that's strictly just going to be educational, and people are going to open up this email and it's going to say, oh wow, there's some goodwill here. This company is actually cares about me, and they're actually putting an effort to educate me as a marketer or as a business owner. The other thing that's really important about email, and I think oftentimes as business owners and entrepreneurs, people overlook this. They'll spend so much time building out their courses or their product or their services. And they'll tell me things like, Kevin, when somebody buys, a course from us, 6 months later, they always see amazing results. Or they'll say, when we create our t-shirts, we use the best quality cotton. When someone gets their hands on one of our products, they always buy again. We have 5-star reviews across all channels, right? The people who come back and buy from us is almost 100%. And I'll often ask them, I say, I love that you're enthusiastic about this. I love that you have this passion. But I often ask, how many of your prospective customers do you think know this, right? People that have just come across you on social, who have just joined your email list, who have just seen you online. And the answer is probably not that many, right? Because again, we have to get out of our own shell that everything that we know, they haven't heard this about you before, right? So what email marketing allows us to do, if Kelly, for instance, you get someone's email and they say, I'm interested in going to this chatbot conference, well, why don't you share some reviews and testimonials with people? I took Kelly's chatbot course. I was trying to do chatbots in the past, but this was like the ultimate blueprint. This for me was night and day, right? So share those stories. Yeah, exactly. But share those stories. It's really going to make a big difference. I think building trust long term, email can play a huge part in that. And then obviously at the end of the series, it never really officially ends because again, we have this person in our database and they're part of our network. But how do we actually drive these people to take an action, right? And that can be an invitation for a one-on-one consult with you. That can be an invitation to an event that you're hosting. That can be, maybe an entry offer to a course that you're offering online. But really make it easier for people to get in touch with you, to reach out to you, to purchase a product from you. Make it easy. And if you've built enough trust and value over the period of time when you have them in your database, that sequence of events will just happen logically.
Awesome. Yeah, I do a lot of the same thing. I've got some pre-built automation that when I have new subscribers, they're going to get this series of emails from me that really help them understand who I am and what I do and gives them a lot of value before they ever hear a sales message from me. A couple of quick questions from Caitlin. Asks, is there a specific length of email that you recommend?
Not necessarily. And I mean, I would say it depends on the type of content, right? When copywriting, obviously, I used to have an editor that says, imagine someone's giving you $5 for every word that you eliminate, right? And that's a really good way of thinking about it. Write your content and then just pick away all the excess because again, you want to make it really easy to read, right? Easy to consume, right? Really let the content and the message come through versus the length of the content. So I would say on average, shorter the better. That being said, if you're describing something that needs to be, a little bit longer form, that's fine. So I would say as a rule of thumb, shorter is better. But again, focus on what you're trying to say versus the length of the content.
Awesome. And then the other question was, are there any CTAs that you would recommend for email?
Yeah. So if you're doing a contest, so for instance, if I'm a t-shirt company and I'm giving away maybe a $200 gift card to my e-commerce store, I would say, especially after a contest, you want to have a really compelling offer. Again, that's going to strike while the iron's hot because the list is the freshest. They're aware that this offer is there. And you want to really position it as this is something that's available strictly to subscribers because you took advantage of this one contest or this one CTA. So I would say in that case, potentially like a gift card offer, like a percentage off discount to really just kind of strike while the iron's hot. You're going to see a lot of success with that. When it comes to other CTAs, it really just depends on what your business is, right? So if you're like a B2B business or if you work with other businesses, maybe a free consult or like a one-on-one would be a great offer. And you could list out some of the benefits and some of the value of speaking to your team, and then they can click on that. We found that allowing people to schedule through booking calendars like Calendly works really well, especially if you guys need to speak with other companies. That way they can just choose the time that they want and you can log on online. But the CTA will actually really depend on the type of business. So it's hard to say kind of generally what's the best.
Awesome. And then you might disagree or not, I don't know, but I've often found that having just one CTA performs
definitely
both in email and in written content.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Sorry. So to clarify, yeah. So the CTA will depend on the type of email you're sending, but there should only be one CTA. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've hit all of the questions. Does anybody else have anything that they want to add before we wrap up?
I saw a question that I think we missed from Caitlin. How do you incentivize customers to interact with chatbots instead of picking up the phone? grin. I don't know about you, Caitlin, but I hate talking on the phone. I find a lot of the millennial generation and younger are less likely to use the phone. My phone is not ringing off the hook, but my messenger bot is going crazy. And just a quick fun fact about the difference between phones and messenger. Number one, messenger is a larger audience. There are more active users on messenger than on Instagram. So it's actually the third largest social network if you were to consider it a social network. Apart from that, it is incredibly active. People are more likely to use it than phone because of its ease of use. And also 64% of consumers actually enjoy using a properly built messenger bot if it can answer their questions and get them what they need faster. And that's really all they want. They don't really necessarily want to talk to people. They want what they want and they want it now. And we are in this time when that's the norm. And unless you can man your phone 24/7, which I would say most small businesses at least, I certainly don't want to talk to anybody like ever. You have to schedule a call to talk to me. No matter what the call is, it must be scheduled. So I think that we are in a time when more people want to use Messenger over phone, but you want to give people the opportunity to contact you the way they want to be contacted. So if they go to your messenger, if you go to my messenger, the menu says like contact Kelly, you can schedule a call, you can email me, or you can notify to talk to a human right now in Messenger and I'll come chat with you live. So you give people the opportunity to select the way that they want to contact you. And then you set those expectations. Oh, you want to talk to someone on the phone? In my case, you have to schedule a call, but not always. If it's someone else, you can say, hey, our lines are open between these hours. So you just set those expectations. And that's really, I think, the best strategy. That's it.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Rebecca, do you have something? Nope. Good. Everyone's
Nope.
good? Cool.
Nope.
Well, this
I'm good.
has been an amazing session. I can't believe how fast this flew by. I want to thank each of you for tuning in, for giving us our attention. And I want to express my deep appreciation for Kevin, Kelly, and Rebecca for lending us their time and experience. You three were phenomenal. And on behalf of Agorapulse, I wish you continued success in all that you're working on. So long.